this is Man-Made Mead. Today we're doing something a little different. This is a monthly mead, but instead of one mead, it's going to be two meads. Now, I'm going to call this the twin mead, because ultimately, twin meads rather, it's going to be the exact same ingredients with one difference, and that difference is, I'm going to put the pineapple chunks that I have here. One of them is going to have it in the primary portion of the mead, in the primary stage. The other one's going to have it in the secondary. So ultimately I want to run this as a test to see if how the flavors translate differently between the primary and the secondary. So we'll be walking through. These are both going to be 1 gallon meads. I have my gallon of water. I'm using this Clover Blossom Honey from Andrew, or by Andrews, the company I'm using. So I've never used it before, but I think it'll be pretty good. And then I have this Lalvin K1V116 yeast. And then also, of course, spring water and those various things. So now I'm gonna go ahead and we have to start our yeast water. We're gonna have to do 2 of them, 2 yeast waters, and then just get going. So let's get the yeast going. Okay, so the goal here is to start the yeast water, the water I'm gonna put it in, and I'm gonna do 2 things. One, I need to get it to exactly 100, between 104 and 109 is according to this yeast packet. But then I'm also gonna take and put my Go Firm Protect in here, and this will help the yeast acclimate and get some nutrients inside them. It's just a way to ensure that yeast are successful. So because I'm doing all of the yeast in this one, and I'm just going to split it out into half, I'm actually just going to put 2 gallons worth. So I need about 3 grams of this. So the way I'm going to get grams, I need to get, my gram method is not perfect. I need to get a little scale, but right now I'm just going to get what I think would be about 3. And frankly, it's hard to overpitch nutrient in this case. So you can overpitch nutrient, and I would highly encourage you to be careful with it. But in this case, I don't think I'm going to overpitch it. I'm not going to put a lot. Okay, so we're going to put that in there. So that's our Go Firm Protect. And so this is Fermade K. Fermade K, you want to put in, this says on here, rehydrate in distilled water and add after 1/3 sugar depletion. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put a little in now just to get the water have some extra nutrients. The most important part of your mead are the yeast. Without the yeast, you don't have a mead. You just have honey and water and whatever other ingredients, pineapples in this case. So the yeast are what make this into a mead. So we want to help them out as much as possible. Like I said, I'm using this Lalvin K1V116 yeast, and I'm going to use both my packets. So we do need to wait for this to get up to the 109 degrees, and I'll be back in a moment when it is there. Okay, so this is now at 105 degrees, and I want to try and make it set there for a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the yeast in. I'm going to go and pitch the yeast into the water. Now I'm not going to stir yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on top, let them set for a little bit, then come back and stir if they haven't came down to the bottom. But the goal, I don't want to kill the yeast, so I'm going to take them off the heat, actually, because it'll sit and it'll stay around 105, and I'm going to double check that. So while these yeast sit here and they basically rehydrate themselves, I can go ahead and start mixing my must. I'm going to watch this and make sure it stays about 109 degrees the entire time. But we want to start making our must. Lots of you guys already know this, but I like to shake my must because I just find it to be easier. So what I'm going to do is shake it in this glass carboy, and then I enjoy it because I feel like it works better. So we're gonna go ahead and get our honey ready, and also everything else. Okay, so we've got all of our must ready. So both of these have the same amount. These have the gallon in them. And I used 3 pounds of this honey, 3 pounds of this Andrew's Clover Blossom honey. And then what I'm gonna do from now is I'm gonna go ahead and take, this is 3 pounds of pineapple chunks, and I'm gonna use half of it in one of them right now in the primary, and the other one I'm gonna leave alone, like I was saying, and then I'll put the pineapple chunks into the secondary, and we'll see ultimately, because these are the same ingredients mead, how the flavors turn out. This is a nice test, but we need to wait for a moment for our yeast to be done, and it is almost there, so I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so I talked about this a while ago. This is where I'm going to acclimate the yeast. It's been sitting for about 25 minutes, the time it needs. It's been at 105 degrees consistently, which is great. So now I want to acclimate them by helping them get used to the must they're going to go into. Rather than just dumping them in all together, I have a little bit here. I just add a little bit in, and so this starts to equal out the temperatures. Ultimately, you know, this was at 105 degrees. I don't want to just chunk it in where this is sitting at probably 70. It'll freak the yeast out a little bit. So over time, I'm going to add a little bit of this in probably a few minutes and help the yeast just get acclimated. And then I'm ready to go ahead and split it and put it into the must. So I'm going to go ahead and acclimate this, and then we'll put it in. Alright, so what I've done now here is taken and put these two into the yeast water into these 2 bowls and even them out, so I have the exact same amount in each one. Since it's the same, I'm going to basically pitch my yeast now that's all acclimated, same temperature, everything. So I have there's one, here's the other. Okay, our yeast is pitched. Now I'm going to go ahead and stir it up a little bit, and this will help aerate it. But it'll also just mix in the yeast and the water. Alright, so I've divided the bag in half and got 1.5 pounds. Now this is frozen. You don't have to use frozen, you can use fresh. Doesn't matter which one you want to do, but the ultimate goal, of course, is have a nice fruit. And frozen, this works just fine. It's got some preservatives in it. I'm actually going to pick this one to put the pineapples in the primary. So simply enough, I'm just going to go ahead and toss them in. And now these will sit. The goal, what I'm going to do, because I want to match this as much as possible to make the, as even test as I can, I'm going to, I'm actually going to take and let the pineapples be in for the same amount of time. So I'm gonna leave these in, for about 45 days, or 45 days exactly. And then I'm gonna rack them both, and then at that point I'm gonna put the pineapple on top of this one that has nothing in it right now, and let that sit for 45 days. And we'll ultimately test the flavor and see how it goes. Okay, in a perfect world, which this should be right now, the gravity should be the same for both of them. So this one is sitting at 1 point, let's see, 1.909, excuse me. So 1.09 will put me at the 11.7%, which is great. I'm totally fine with that. The only thing that might have changed with this one over here is that with the pineapples added, I might have a little different gravity, so I'm going to go ahead and double check this, but I don't think the gravity is going to be any different. Okay, so here's my gravity reading for the pineapple one. There are of course no pineapples in this gravity reading right here, like actually physically in the thing. And we're sitting at 1.09 as well. So they are the exact same gravity, which means I've done the right thing, which is good. So now, next step is to aerate it further. So let me show you my aeration machine. My little aeration machine is this thing over here. It's plugged in against the wall, but this just pumps oxygen into it. To make my test even more fair, I'm actually going to go ahead and aerate them for the exact same time. So I'm going to go 45 minutes in this one, just because this aeration machine goes kind of slow. It's not super fast. And then of course 45 minutes in this one. So we have a completely fair test. So this is pretty much complete now. Okay, so now that we have both of these done, the twin mead is done with its primary stage. It's going to be for both of them. Of course, like I said, they're going to be a little bit different in the future, exact same ingredients, just a couple different steps. So I encourage you to do these tests on your own. You might find out whether you like putting the fruit in the primary more than the secondary or some other thing. I always put mine in the secondary, so I'm interested to see what the primary kind of tastes like. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, ask me questions, leave me ideas for future meads. I don't think I said it at the top of this, but this is the August monthly mead. And so this is my 12th monthly mead, believe it or not, because I started in September last year. So I have it's kind of cool, 12 monthly meads, 12 meads now. I'm going to keep going. I need more ideas for cool ones. So please leave them in the comments. I have some cool things going on as well. If you will go check out my Patreon right here, the Patreon, you can support me, help me make more mead, help me make content. Financially, honey's expensive, and various other things. I want to upgrade my equipment and have better things for you guys to make better quality videos. So Patreon is right there. I have another thing, it's a P.O. box, so you can send me your letters, your questions, your mead, your honey, whatever you want to send me. That's right here if you want to check out the P.O. box. And then finally I have a merchandise store. So the merchandise store has t-shirts and a bunch of various things that are really cool. If you'll go and do that, that supports me and helps me, it directly helps me make better videos for you guys. So give me your questions and feedback in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys and see you guys in the next video. So, cheers.